Exist, the podcast that uses your votes to determine the most totally 80s song ever to blare from the tinny speakers of a canary yellow Walkman. In the heart of rock and roll, Cleveland, Ohio, I'm Keith Marsteller, and joining me from Seattle, Washington, that is my longtime friend who happens to be the creator and my co-host of the 80s-ist. It's Joe Wack. Hey, Joe.
Hi, Keith. Hey, listen, I have a warning for you.
Yeah.
Here comes Wrangler, and he's one tough customer.
Oh.
And he knows what he likes, but he sees it.
Ooh, Wrangler. Ah, man.
Can I just tell you about this real quickly?
Yeah, sure.
I taught 6th grade for a few years, and we had this one unit that I taught. It was a science unit, and I kind of... there was a section of it that talked about advertising and the various ways that advertisers try to appeal to people. And I used the Wrangler commercial in there. I played it for my class.
Oh, my God.
And then I would subsequently play it like 12 more times over the course of a week, so that by the end of the year, they all knew the Wrangler theme.
Oh, my God.
It was so great.
So did they think it was awful, or did they think it was...
No, they thought it was totally cringe. Cringe is what they say.
Yeah, that's what they say. Instead of actually cringing, they say the word cringe now, right?
That's right. It's like someone who has no sense of humor and they say, "Oh, that's funny."
I hate that the most. The most. Oh, man. Well, welcome back to the 80s-ist, everybody. Today, we're going to discuss the third matchup in our movie region, and that pits 5-seed Maniac by Michael Sembello against our upstart 12-seed Flashdance ellipses. What a Feeling by Irene Cara. Now, Joe, as you know, both are songs from the motion picture soundtrack for Flashdance, which was released April 15th, 1983.
That's right.
Yeah, that happened. That was a real thing that happened in America.
That date, April 15th, 1983, was not skipped over.
And this soundtrack somehow won the Grammy for Best Motion Picture Soundtrack in 1984. I looked at the soundtrack today on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I only know these two songs.
Of course.
There are 10 songs on the soundtrack. I've only heard 2 of them.
Having been alive then, I can almost guarantee there were better soundtracks than this in 1984.
There had to have been. Yeah. I guess Footloose would have gotten the award in 85 if it was... Anyway.
Yeah.
So we're talking about one movie, Flashdance.
Flashdance, that's right.
And for those unfamiliar, Joe, can you tell them what the premise of Flashdance was?
I absolutely can. So Flashdance is a movie about a young woman who is a pierogi maker in the toughest pierogi market in the country, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And her pierogies are put together as she does this dance routine through the kitchen. So she's throwing flour into the air, she's grating cheese, she's chopping potatoes and mashing them. And then one day, this person comes in who has a better, quote-unquote, better pierogi recipe. And this person likes to put sauerkraut in their pierogies. And she is, of course, appalled. And so then there's this back and forth kind of... But then it turns out that they kind of like each other. So they blend their pierogi recipes together.
Oh.
And they open a very successful pierogi restaurant. And that... is Flashdance.
That is what Flashdance is about.
Yes.
That seems like a very different film. Now, I will be honest, I haven't seen the film entirely. I've seen parts of it.
Yes, well,
but I must have missed the entire pierogi subplot
I don't know how you would. It's seeded throughout the entire movie. Did you see a different movie and just think it was Flashdance?
No, it has to be the same one because it did happen in Pittsburgh. So
okay, well there you go.
Yeah,
so
I mean, maybe I haven't seen all of it, because you see them on those TV reshowings on like TNT or something.
They also edit those for content,
right?
And the pierogi scenes were pretty steamy, so it's entirely possible that they edited those out for your broadcast viewing audience.
That's fair. Yeah. So, so there you go.
Yes.
Flashdance, broken down.
Which I have absolutely seen 100%.
You've seen the whole movie?
I have seen it entirely. Pierogies.
Where do you come down on the sauerkraut part? Because that sounds ominous to me.
I am again the sauerkraut.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
good,
no.
Good.
No.
So we got 2 songs.
2 songs, one movie.
One movie. We're going to put these against each other.
Okay. And see if they rub sparks.
And see what happens. The only 2 songs on that soundtrack that anyone has ever heard of, even though there's a Kim Carnes song on the soundtrack. I just
Indeed.
don't know it.
It's not one of her major works, apparently.
No, it really isn't. So we're going to start off with just give it a little taste of what we're looking at. Which one of these is the 80s-est? Remind yourself, you might hate the song.
That's right.
But is it more 80s than the other song?
As always, we caution you, this is not the best.
No.
No.
Oh, good Lord, no.
No, it's which one most embodies
the 80s,
that me decade of the 80s.
All right, we're going to start off with a little bit of Michael Sembello with Maniac.
Maniac.
Give you a little taste.
Oh, very propulsive right from the beginning. Oh, and so synthy.
Just a steel town girl on a Saturday night, looking for the fight of her life.
See, pierogies.
Yes. No one sees her at all. They all say she's crazy.
To put sauerkraut in there.
Loggins writes about that later.
Yeah, but I don't recall the dancer becoming a dance in his version.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
All right, here's your chorus. All right, but so that should give you a pretty fair taste of what that song is about there.
Yeah, that is not just a taste. It's like a whole amuse-bouche.
Yeah, it's essentially it.
Yeah.
So, you want to talk about this one before we play the other one, or do you want to play the other one immediately?
I would like to jump right into Flashdance.
All right.
What a feeling.
What a feeling. And here we go. And that one.
What a feeling.
Completely different feel here.
Oh yeah, no, totally. But also super synthy.
A lot of synth right here.
Irene Cara, who is pretty fucking 80s.
An exceptionally large chasm of vocal talent between these two, in my opinion.
Of course. She's cried.
Yeah, she really has.
Silent tears. Full of pride.
It's probably due to that whole sauerkraut.
Made of pierogi.
All right, so she works steel in there as well.
Yes.
Where I hear the music, close my eyes, feel the rhythm, wrap around.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta say, lyric-wise, this is of a much higher quality.
All right, yeah. All right, so there you go. That's pretty much the feeling What a Feeling.
That's the
Flashdance.
What a Feeling.
So these are the two songs we have shoved them together, kind of like two atoms in a super collider, and we're gonna see like who's gonna come out, what's gonna happen when those two collide.
Okay.
So your thoughts?
My thoughts. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have some things. I want to give maybe a debit to Maniac, because truly, I mean, was Jennifer Beals really maniacal in this?
No,
I don't think so. I mean,
in the parts I've seen, not really.
Right. She's not a dance. She's not like killing people.
No, she is not, which is interesting.
Yes.
And here, this is where I'll bring out the first factoid of the night. Okay.
All right. Let's hear the factoid.
I read recently that Michael Sembello and his co-writer, the keyboardist. So Sembello is a guitarist.
Okay.
And I had never heard of him. It turns out he was like the main session guitarist for Stevie Wonder's "Songs in the Key of Life." So he's got some talent.
Well, I mean,
if you like
that's a
Stevie
classic
Wonder.
album.
Yeah.
So yes.
But anyway, I'd never heard of him. He played guitar and wrote this with his keyboardist.
Okay.
And they claimed the song was supposed to be about a vicious pet murderer. Okay. They wrote it after having seen some slasher flick. Okay. So,
see,
how does that have anything to do with the movie that we're talking about?
It has nothing to do with it. So the deal is they wrote this with the horror movie in mind.
Yeah.
The producer calls them up and says, "Hey, we want to use your song in this movie about this girl who makes pierogies while she's dancing."
While she's dancing.
And they're like, "Hey, what about this movie for a horror movie?"
And then
this song for a horror movie.
We'll throw in the phrase Steel Town Girl and then pretend like it's all about this movie, even though the rest of it has nothing to do with this movie.
Yeah.
That's kind of a weirdness for Maniac.
It's true.
On the positive side of the ledger, though, it's extremely synthy.
It is so incredibly synthy.
And like computer generate-y, like those like woodblock rolls don't sound like a real person doing that.
No. No. I would say I don't think this song could exist outside of this decade, the 80s.
It really couldn't. Yeah. Like this very beginning, this stuff that repeats, over and over again with that. It's just, and then that, that synth comes in.
Yeah.
So that's a big positive for it.
It
in
is
being 80s-ish.
It is. I think there's also the fact that Michael Sembello did nothing other. I mean, this is the only song that anyone knows him for.
You've never heard his name for anything else. Yes,
No.
He may have had a successful career as a session guy.
Maybe, but we don't know.
But we didn't know that until I looked it up when I'm 50-some years old.
That's it.
At 15,
he might as well have drowned in the Monongahela River.
Yes, he might as well.
That's it.
Now, interestingly,
yes,
one of the things that gets me, but really pumps me up for wanting to vote for this song, is that it's a training montage song in the movie.
Oh, damn it! You're right.
So, she's doing her, working on her dancing, and she's running real fast with her leg warmers and like, oh, man, I messed up.
Yes.
Oh, I got to try again.
She's a little bit better.
Get better and better. And my feet. Oh, and my moves. Yeah. And all the while, she's being a maniac to this.
Yeah, and then there's the part where she sits down in the chair and pulls the string and melted butter falls all over her that she's using for the pierogies. Yes. So
I'm a sucker for a montage song.
Absolutely, and I think you're right. That definitely is a feather in this song's 80s cap.
Yeah, for sure.
I have a lyric question for you.
Go ahead.
Or two on this song, because you have a Spotify list. I have Amazon Music playlist.
Okay.
And I don't know about Spotify, but Amazon, if I'm listening to it on my phone and I'm watching it, there's you can have the lyrics playing.
Yeah, sure.
I did while I sat down and listened to these songs. I had the lyrics playing almost all the time. and there are assumptions that I've had my whole life that are challenged by this.
Okay.
Like Amazon claims that he says there's a cold connective heat, which I always thought was kinetic.
It's kinetic, right?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. But then there's a second thing.
Okay.
There's a second thing, because there's a part where there's Maniac on the floor. I think later they change it to what I always thought was she's a maniac at your door.
Yeah. Right.
Right. But Amazon claims, and this is where I'm like, I think Amazon's lyrics might be totally messed up because they say she's a maniac. I sure know.
Really?
Right. Do you hear I sure know when any place?
Do you know when that is in the song? I mean, I could go needle drop on it.
I don't. I apologize.
Let me try to needle drop it and see if I just managed to hit it. Oh, well, you know what we're hitting.
That's pretty 80s.
I said I made a note to go to 3 minutes, 3 seconds for anyone who's playing along at home with their Spotify account and somehow also listening to a podcast, that there's like a diet Eddie Van Halen ripoff, like finger tapping here. Here it comes.
It's a little muddled.
And it's, kind of repetitive as opposed to like that, but yeah. Anyway, when that comes back, I think he'll... all right, so it's the Maniac part here, right, is where it'll change? Oh!
Okay, that's it.
That was it. So
She's a maniac
I always thought at your door, but
yeah.
I should know is what they're saying allegedly.
I sure know.
Wow, huh?
Yeah.
There you go, everyone.
I leave it up to the listener to decide, but personally...
I'd be more creeped out by a maniac at my door than one that I sure know for sure.
Plus, I sure know I sure know that. It's a terrible totally
lyric.
Fit.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well, the whole song is filled with terrible lyrics. Which, is that 80s? Are terrible lyrics 80s?
Well, that's fair. Yeah, they are.
They might be.
In a lot of places. Yeah, we'll go.
All right. So,
so
what about the other contender here, Flashdance?
Yes. What a feeling.
What a feeling. Yeah.
Well, the good thing about it, for me, one of the great things about it for me is it really reminds me in a thematic way of Don't You Forget About Me that we've already talked about.
Interesting.
In that
Expand on that.
It opens and closes. It bookends the film. You get a version of it at the start, and then you get the full-fledged version of it in the at the end scene where she's finally got the courage to audition for this panel and blows him away,
Yes.
What a feeling that must have been.
The pierogi panel.
Yes.
Yes. I believe that also the theme probably pops up more places, throughout the movie than just the beginning and the end. I think it's along, one of those where they use it repeatedly.
You get like the melody of, or the tune of it in a few other places too. Yeah.
I have to say, so an 80s, 80s point for this one is that Irene Cara really, for anyone who was an aspirational artistic youth in the 80s,
that's true,
was an important figure. Between this and Fame, that's a lot of theater kids.
I talked to a friend today who said that she conflates the two of those into like one song or one feeling about Irene. So that's a real thing. Obviously, more than one person is going to do that.
Yeah.
And they're very similar performing arts, type themes.
Right.
And that
there's
other
no pierogies
song,
in Fame.
No, not that I know of.
None.
Didn't she play? Well, she was in that and
she
sang
played
it, right? She was
Coco
something. Yeah.
Yeah, Coco. And there's a scene there where she famously takes her top off because a director insists on it, and she cries. And this is the price that she's having to pay to pursue her dream.
Now, the thing for me that dings it a little bit is she's a great singer.
Yes.
And there's tons of synth in here, so that's a plus.
Absolutely.
But it's almost like her voice is so powerful and like it's such a glamorous song that I almost felt like it was disco-y.
Yeah,
you know?
okay. I will agree to that. I want to say there's some real 80s stuff in here. If you go to 1 minute 50 seconds, there's a bridge, and this bridge is entirely 80s.
All right, here we go. Let's bring it up.
I mean,
yeah, good point. Yeah, that little.
then at the 2 minute mark.
2 minute mark. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to set this up, or you want me to just play it?
Just play it, and then we'll say it.
All right.
Okay. I'm just impressed there that she comes like this close to saying the title of the movie.
Oh, in a flash.
In a flash.
Dance.
Right.
Glavin. Yeah.
Yeah, because nowhere in the song does she say Flashdance.
Right.
But
That's
right there,
true.
she teases
She's in a
us with
flash. But then
dance. I mean, we all hear the dance
Right.
part of it, even though it's unspoken.
So I looked this up today. And
Yes.
this doesn't necessarily count officially, but
Okay.
Wikipedia lists Maniac's genre as synth pop.
Oh.
And it lists Flashdance What a Feeling as dance pop / disco.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean it is. That just means some Wikipedia nerd decided
Yes.
to put it there.
Yes.
But it kind of confirmed my kind of deeper feeling that it was a little more disco than it was 80s.
Yeah.
But it's a good song. It works really well with the movie.
Yes.
It's a better song than Maniac for me.
Most assuredly is the better song, but
is it
But.
as 80s? So
it's just for me, it's just not.
It's just not
it's
quite.
a much better song, but Maniac is so firmly wedged up the butt crack of that decade.
There you go.
It is the wedgie in the butt crack of the 80s.
So when you click your ballot, you're going Sembello.
That's right. I am.
I'm leaning Sembello after, looking at all sides of this. But I
Yeah.
guess we won't know until the moment I click. But if I had to commit now, I'd say Sembello, though, I guess.
All right.
It's hard to vote for a song you don't like as much.
It really
This
is.
weird thing we're creating with this podcast.
Yeah, but again, that's the thing. It's not always going to be the better song.
That is a good point. Yeah, it is
Not
not.
always. No, sir.
All right. Well, any other thoughts or feelings about this matchup?
Just this. I have to apologize.
Yeah.
I've never seen this movie. I don't know. I assume there's pierogies in it, but I don't know. I don't know.
So I actually know more about this movie than you, despite having never seen it all the way through.
That's right.
That's hilarious.
I'm so sorry.
Oh man. Well, okay, the listeners. I'm gonna go ahead and say there were no pierogies in the making of this
You
film.
don't know that. You didn't see the whole thing. There might be pierogies. God damn it.
I'm gonna have to check with my wife because I know she's seen it several times. Well, she'll be listening. She'll let us know. She'll
right.
probably write some angry listener feedback.
Can I just say, if there aren't pierogies in this,
There should have been.
goddamn should have been.
I mean, it's Pittsburgh, Yeah,
Right?
there definitely should have been.
Yeah, there's a Polish population there.
The only other movie I know of shot in Pittsburgh is Striking Distance with Bruce Willis and Sarah Jessica Parker. I wonder if those are in the same universe. Do you know if they're in the same universe?
I doubt it. I will tell you.
Yeah.
I know of a number of movies shot in Pittsburgh because one of my acting teachers in college did a lot of work in Pittsburgh.
Oh.
And we saw a handful of movies featuring him shot there.
Oh.
I would be hard pressed to name any of them right now. Innocent Blood.
Innocent Blood. Innocent
It was
Blood,
a
everyone.
vampire movie with some actress, I don't remember her name, and Anthony LaPaglia was in that.
All right, everyone, look that one up on IMDb. And Prime
Movies
Video.
of Pittsburgh. Now there's a spin-off podcast.
There you go.
Let's just talk about movies that were shot in Pittsburgh.
The title's got to have
Pennsylvania.
yins in it or something, right? All right.
Yins and St. Blood.
Would you say it's fair to say that that's all for today's show?
I think that's very much all. If we're talking about Pittsburgh movies, I think we're good.
All right. Well, join us next time on the 80sist when we will explore our next matchup. 4 St. Elmo's Fire versus 13 Eye of the Tiger. Until then, on behalf of Joe, this has been Keith saying, take your passion and make it happen. Or don't. Nobody's watching.
You know, the truth is, you're scared shitless of going to that place, aren't you?
I am not.
Don't you understand? When you give up your dream, you die.